Seraphim17 once again. This is my Darksiders 2 Apocalyptic difficulty video walkthrough. This is the City of the Dead Part 3. This is a big old gauntlet of fights against these tiny arm, giant arm dudes. And I don't believe there's a checkpoint in this, guys, so you have to take on quite a lot of dudes without dying. So this is one of those fights where you need to use all the strategies that you've learned through the game on how to, contend against certain enemies. This first one is the three super fast ladies, who I'm not the biggest fan of myself, so I'm going to cheese them with the Echidna or Echidna gauntlets that give you lots of life, and I'm going to use Untouchable to the best of my ability to try and recycle my life and damage race them. And you'll notice it takes no skill. You get your life back ridiculously quickly, especially when you're in Untouchable mode, and the rest is pretty simple stuff. Because there's nothing really to talk about in this guide, because I can't really tell you that much strategy now, we're 34 videos deep, and what little strategy I had to divulge has already been said, ad nauseum. So I'm going to talk about a little bit of gaming news, because in the last video I went all high and mighty on developers and things, and didn't really mention anything with solid fact. It was all strictly opinion, and sometimes you need fact. So I'm on IGN currently, which is a website that some people like, some people don't like. I like IGN for a couple of reasons. One, they cover pretty much everything, and regardless of if you agree with their opinion or if you think that their opinion's bought, because a lot of people do. A lot of people do the whole, you can't spell IGN without ignorant nonsense. And don't get me wrong, some of the stuff on there is pretty ignorant. The one thing that I will always condemn IGN for is firing the Kane Lynch 2 reviewer, because he was not Kane Lynch 2, sorry, Kane Lynch 1. Jeff Gertzman was honest. He was honest about a game, and he lost his job for being honest, and that's bullshit. But I like the site. I would love to get some kind of paid position, contributing gameplay, contributing walkthroughs. I don't even know, but highly unlikely, never happened. But here we are anyway. So the first bit of news that some people will probably be really happy about is that the Urban Trial Freestyle is pretty much Trials HD. So anybody that likes Trials HD is getting a nice little, perhaps cheaper knockoff of the game. And it's going to the PlayStation Network, so anybody who's wanted to play Trials that hasn't played it and owns a PS3 as opposed to a 360 can now get their hands on some balancing motorcycle action, which is a cool thing. Ooh, it's also showing what PlayStation Plus users are going to get with the new Tuesday editions. So let's have a see what games are going to be discounted to see if anybody's going to get something good. Here comes the Dirty Hook Butcher guy. He's not very attractive, but he can do some damage if you let him. Right, so is it seriously a video, IGN? Have we completely lost the ability to write? Wow. Well, fuck that. Next story is someone has built a functional Iron Man gauntlet. Oh, some people. Powerful enough to pop balloons. But don't get excited, folks, because they're not for sale. Let's have a see if we can dig deeper into this amazing concept. So it says the person in question is Patrick Prebe of Laser Gadgets, a firm that specialises in building custom props. The gloves pack enough punch to blow up balloons. Unfortunately, they don't take orders, nor does he include tutorial on how to assemble the glove. God, it looks pretty badass, that. He's even got the light and everything. Some people are crazy creative. But we've got One Piece Pirate Warriors 2 announced, which, if anyone's surprised about that, you clearly don't understand that developer. Because Bandai, man. Bandai, they're actually the publisher, Bandai, sorry. Dynasty Warriors, for whatever reason, sells like blockbusters in Japan. I don't know why. I don't know if it's because the Japanese have got no memory. I don't know what it is. Maybe thanks to certain circumstances in that country, they've only got one finger, but I don't know. Because essentially Dynasty Warriors is press X to win for several hours, and to me, You know, I would probably prefer to lick a radiator, and I just don't see any point in doing that, let alone playing Dynasty Warriors. And they're selling this on one thing, really, guys. It's selling on the people's love of the anime. It's just like the Gundam ones. The only people that play those games are people that like the series, and it goes to show just how fucking terrible, you know, licensed games are these days when it comes to TV shows, animes, or films, because there's no alternative. There's no other game we could be playing, so instead we have to play this button-mashy trash, and it makes no sense. That being said, I haven't played One Piece Pirate Warriors, so maybe that one's the exclusion of the rule. Maybe there's, you know, 2 button inputs now that do action con stuff. I don't know. Maybe they've fixed everything I hate and it's Dark Souls with One Piece. I doubt it, but it could be. And it's getting a sequel if you liked it, so someone's happy. The next story is Changes Come with Tales of Xillia, which is the next one in the Tales series. And if you don't know, that is a pretty prolific RPG series that I do enjoy a lot. And the changes that they're mentioning is they're going to give you 2 lead characters, and it's focusing around the concept of pairs, which is not the fruit, it's actually 2 people. Apparently you can unlock a exploding spider power in Skyrim, which sounds both disgusting and effective. Naruto Powerful Shippuden, unleash your inner chibi. No thank you. Ooh, HMV will be accepting gift vouchers again. I assume somebody has bought them out, or has funded them because they went into administration. This is important, guys, and this is quite good after the previous video. Ooh, by the way, this is one of the worst jumping sections in the game, because the input on the jumping can completely fuck you here. For instance, if you're holding left and you press jump, and for whatever reason death jumps up above instead of to the right, or left, sorry, you will die. One mistake, you will die. Completely gay, and if dying here resets the hardest nightmare difficulty playthrough, good luck, because it's so easy to fuck that jumping section up. That would be terrible. Terrible? That's terrible and terrifying at the same time. It's a cool new word. But the news that I mentioned, Sony will let Microsoft make the first move. And I'm kind of confused about that, guys, because one of the fundamental failings of the PlayStation 3 for me personally was the fact that it came so late after the Xbox. It was infinitely superior technically, but a lot of the developers, you know, it took them a long time to understand how to make games on that software, and instead, because of the ease of use, often made games based on 360 and then ported them to the PlayStation, and because of that, the PlayStation ports suffered, and it was extremely unfair on people who owned PS3s. So for Sony to actively go out of their way to do it again, that is either going to be the most successful thing they've done, because they come out with a console that makes the 720 or whatever it's going to be called look like a children's toy box, or they're going to lose the initiative again and they're going to be on the back foot for the entire duration. And I don't know, guys, what do you think about that? Because I think that's suicide. I think it's commercial suicide at this moment in time. I really do. But who knows? Who knows? Very strange. Interesting times. So the Tomb Raider achievements have surfaced, if anybody's seen them. They seem okay. I'm quite looking forward to that game, but I'm not holding my breath. Ooh. Oh, by the way, guys, this is quite an interesting sequence here. If you fuck up at any part of this and die, you've got to do the entire room again. So treat these enemies as if they had your entire family hostage, and if you die, your entire family dies, because they're not necessarily difficult if you're good at getting your life back in damage racing like I'm doing here. But you can die, because like everything else on this game, you can be killed if you get sloppy. But this is a little bit of funny news. The Batmobile, the Adam West Batmobile, the old TV show, sells for $4.6 million at auction from the 1960s TV show. That is a lot of money for a shitty looking car. Ooh, this could be cool. 5 more reasons, sorry, why video games are good for you. And this is quite good, because when you think about it, all we really hear in media is how bad games are for us and how they're going to turn us all into closet serial killers. rapists, paedophiles. Let's have a look what this says. So, kids who play video games are more creative. Do we think that's true? I would say that's true. My vocabulary came on a whole bunch from playing Final Fantasies. So, this is a study being held in Michigan State University by some researchers. It was published in November 2011, and it found that more kids playing video games, the more kids creative they were in tasks such as drawing pictures and writing stories. So I think that's kind of obvious, because when you when you logicize it, what are games? Games are pure creativity, and we are subconsciously influenced by everything we see, everything we hear, and everything we read, and you are doing all of those when you play a game, so even subconsciously you're going to get better on a more creative level. But it says the researchers surveyed 491 12-year-olds, which I completely disagree with, because that immediately shows that they believe games are for children, which is bullshit. Anyhow, they assessed how often the students use different forms of technology. Measures were obtained for general computer use, internet use, video game playing, and mobile phone use. Participants were also asked to indicate their favourite video game. The use of mobile phones, the internet, and non-gaming activities on computers was found to be unrelated to creativity. So fuck you, phones. However, regardless of gender, race, or even type of game played by the students, violent or non-violent, the study found a relationship between video game playing and greater creativity. So that is kind of cool. Favourite games named by participants included Super Smash Bros, Half-Life 2, and Big Mother Trucker 2. Gotta love kids, man. The researchers gouged the kids' creative cred with what's known as the Torrance test of creativity. Figural. The first stimulus took the form of an egg shape on a blank sheet of paper. The kids were asked to... Stop saying kids, dude. They were asked. It's so simple. Stop telling us it's children. They were required to think of a unique picture they could draw with this shape as part of it, and write a story about what they drew. The second stimulus was a picture of an elf lying in front of a small pool of water staring at its reflection, which the kids had to answer a series of hypothetical questions about. So in other words, it was a boring fucking test. Girls who play video games with dads are happier. I meant to say with dad. It's supposed to be singular, not plural. No one's got more than one dad unless they're extremely lucky, because then Christmas gets real lucrative. But this one is a research done in February 2011 in Utah-based Brigham Young University School of Family Life. What the fuck is that? University's School of Family Life. Family Life? Is that where pregnant people go to learn how to not drown a baby? This was a study between children between 11 and 16. So this one's better because it's advocating that, you know, you don't have to be a child to play a game, and I like that. They found that girls who played video games with a parent were better behaved, had stronger connections with their family, and enjoyed overall better mental health. Mental health. Sounds like a chewing gum. The study involved 286 families with an adolescent child. Playing with a parent wasn't a statistically significant factor for boys in any of the outcomes measured. Positive behaviour, aggression, family control, mental health. However, for girls playing with a parent, in most cases their father accounted for as much as 20% of the variation on those measured outcomes. We're guessing it's a daddy-daughter thing, because not a lot of mums said yes when we asked if they played video games. I don't care about whoever this is quoting. The findings did come with one crucial caveat. The games had to be age appropriate. Researchers found mature titles weakened the statistical relationship between co-playing and family connectedness. That's interesting. Video games are better than watching TV. And it's got a picture of The Big Bang Theory, which is a TV program I fucking hate. It might seem kind of redundant pointing out video games are better than watching television these days. Consider for a moment one of the most popular TV shows, The Big Bang Theory, A show that features so much laugh track and the only possible explanation is that the guy who yanks the laugh track lever died on the job and his rotting, hunched over corpse has knocked it permanently into on position. See, now that's kind of okay, because I agree with that. Why does a TV show have to tell you when to laugh? Are we that retarded? However, a University of Technology in Brisbane, Australia, recently found that children could indeed be better off playing video games than watching television. Investigated the amount of time spent watching TV and DVDs compared to video game and computer use. Watching TV, according to Dr. Johnson, is a passive experience. Video games and computer games are interactive, and with research indicated it boosted children's self-esteem, cognitive skills like problem solving, and in some cases physical activity levels. It's the better option. She further went on to say there is a lot of negative press about gaming that's not well supported. Where there is a negative effect, research shows it's on a minority of people. Yep, the fucking dumb ones. But that's the end of the video, guys. I will continue with this list in the next one, along with the news, because there's not really much to say. Thanks for watching, and you take care now.